Hello, Aaron Boster here, joining you with Ohio Health MS Center. I did a polling question on our Twitter earlier today asking which topics you guys might want to hear periscoped out. And the winning topic was spasticity. That's an area that's near and dear to my clinical interests, so I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it today. So please keep in mind this is Periscope Live, and at the end, if there's some people that have logged on and they're interested, I'll answer their questions. First question I think that we need to think about is what actually is spasticity? So spasticity clinically manifests one of three ways. Either a limb that's hard to bend, so that's a leg that you have to kind of push down to get into the chair, or maybe kind of pull into the bed because it just won't move fluidly, or an arm where it's really, really hard to extend it all the way. It seems to want to curl up. The second way the manifestations of spasticity normally show up is with spasms. And so a spasm, maybe you put your shoe on and then your foot starts bouncing, or your leg starts bouncing. You got to grab it and it'll do it for a while and then go away. Those are called spasms. The third thing that we see clinically in spasticity oftentimes is cramps. Painful cramps is like a Charlie horse. It's normally a visible contraction of the muscle belly, and you'll sit there and hold it, and it can be pretty painful. So clinically, we see stiff limbs, spasms, and cramps. But what's going on underneath? What's actually happening to cause spasticity? And really, this has to deal with muscles that don't get along. So if I use my arm as an example, if I want to bring my arm up to my face, my bicep muscle has to get shorter, that's called contraction. And the tricep muscle, it actually has to relax itself. So while this one's getting smaller, this one's getting longer, and that allows me to bend my arm. Now, you don't tell your tricep to relax. See, watch. I'm going to drink some water here, and I don't say tricep relax, I just bring water to face. My brain and spinal cord, they coordinate the movement between the bicep and the tricep. The brain and spinal cord know to turn this on and then turn this off at the same time. And when there's damage to the brain and the spinal cord, sending those messages down to relax the tricep, the message doesn't get there. So when you want to flex your arm, you also want to extend your arm. And what you end up getting is spasticity because the tricep and the bicep start fighting one another. So why is spasticity common in multiple sclerosis? That's because MS is a problem where the immune system makes errors and it attacks parts of our brain and spinal cord, thinking that it's attacking a foreign invader like a virus or a bacteria. It's an autoimmune condition targeting the central nervous system. Some of those bouts of inflammatory damage can hit the descending pathways from the brain through the spinal cord into the muscles. And so MS can cause damage to the parts of the nervous system that control the relaxation of the tricep when the bicep's trying to contract. And so it's very, very common that we see some degree of spasticity in MS patients, oftentimes in their legs more so than in the arms. What are some healthy habits that can help us combat spasticity? So one of the things that we notice is that when you are still, when you haven't moved very much, you're more likely to get stiff. Now this may manifest as typing on the computer for half an hour, or being in the car for an hour, or going to bed and waking up. And what you'll find is in those situations, your limbs are really tight, they spasm more, you have more cramps. One of the ways to overcome this is to stretch. I strongly recommend that you get into the habit of waking up in the morning and stretching out, 3-4 minutes. We're not talking craziness. You can do it in your bed or you can do it once you get out of bed. The point is you want to stretch out your muscles. I also recommend that patients do that when they get into bed at night. Then, if you can find once during the day to stretch out, what you'll find is you're constantly loosening up your muscles. Stretching has no benefit in 2 days, but it will help now. And it's pretty inexpensive, and you can do it wherever you are. And so I recommend using it as a tool to help combat stiff muscles. You also will find that stretching out is something that you want to do during certain situations. For example, driving from Columbus, Ohio to Cincinnati, Ohio takes 2 hours. You may find that an hour into your ride, your leg starts to cramp up. So what you should do, maybe 45 minutes to an hour into your ride, pull over at a rest station, stretch out for 5 minutes, get back in the car. This kind of technique can be very, very helpful, and it can get us to go longer distances. It's stretching. The second thing is moving. So sometimes if a muscle is tight, you have a tendency not to want to move it. The more you loosen it up, the warmer your body gets, the less spasticity that you're going to notice. And so that's another thing, is to get moving. You may find, for example, typing at your desk at work for an hour and a half, you get into some bad spasticity. Well, set an alarm on your phone, and at an hour mark, get up and walk around for a couple laps, then sit back down. You could couple that with stretching, for example. And this can be very, very helpful in trying to combat spasticity on a regular basis. Exercise can be very helpful, not just for loosening the muscles, but also for strengthening weak muscles. And so being involved in a form of exercise is critically important. Now, not everyone can just go out running or go to the gym. And sometimes we actually have to get exercise with experts. Neurophysical therapists is what I'm talking about. Physical therapy is something that is very key to the success of overcoming spasticity, because if a particular muscle is tight in your leg, it's going to pull your leg in that direction, and it's going to make you walk funny. And after doing that for a long time, your patterns of walking start to change, and they're abnormal, and they don't work very well. And that can cause damage to your joints, it can cause pain, but it also is poor gait mechanics. Now, all of this we try to overcome by loosening muscles and then strengthening different muscles. The physical therapist is the grand wizard that can help guide you through that process. And so if you have a hitch and you're giddy up and you're throwing your foot across you when you're walking, doing some of this stretching and doing some of this warming up your body is helpful. Getting involved in exercise is even more helpful, and you may need an expert physical therapist to help you with that process. Now, we'll wrap up today just talking about some medications that can be helpful in spasticity. And everyone knows I'm not giving medical advice, I'm just educating, right? So I'm just talking in generalities. One type of medicine that you can use is for focal problems. If you have a problem of spasticity of your hand, Botox into your arm, pop, 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 can open up that hand. And so if you have a focal spastic problem, particularly in the hands or feet, sometimes focal toxin, Botox, can be very, very helpful. And that's something to discuss with your MS team. If you have spasticity more than just in a hand or in a distal limb, let's say that it's both legs in your arm. You can't Botox all that very easily. That's a lot of botulinum toxin because it's a lot of big muscles. And so sometimes you have to take something that works systemically. And so there's a lot of oral medications that can be taken. They have all kinds of different names: baclofen, Xanaflex, also called tizanidine. There's Flexeril and Soma, and there's all dantrolene, and the list goes on and on. The point is that sometimes these medicines can be helpful. They have problems because they oftentimes make patients sedated and sometimes dizzy. And so sometimes therapeutic doses make the person so tired that it doesn't work out. But sometimes you can get away with low doses of baclofen throughout the day. And if you slowly titrate it up, you can oftentimes get over the side effects, and it can be a very useful tool. This again is something that you would discuss with your provider. Many of you know that one of my clinical interests is in using intrathecal baclofen pumps. So a baclofen pump is just a different way of giving a person baclofen. So instead of taking it by mouth, it's a pump surgically implanted that delivers baclofen to their spinal sac. And that's used in spasticity, again, diffuse spasticity, meaning arms and legs, when a pill isn't going to cut it and when we need to do more. Once again, my name is Boster. I'm with Ohio Health MS Center. Thought I'd take a few minutes and periscope some information about spasticity and multiple sclerosis. I'll send out another Twitter request for any other topics that you guys might be interested in. Now, before I get offline, if anybody has any questions, you can type them into the periscope and I'll be happy to answer them. I want to stick to questions about spasticity. Oh, you're very welcome. All right, have a great day, guys. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.